Hello, tech friends, and thank you for tuning into Emerging Technologies in Business, where we take a deep dive into different technologies that are impacting businesses today and in the very near future. I'm your host, Brock Riney, and this podcast is brought to you by Kincannon XR. Let's talk tech. And today we're very fortunate to be joined by a very special guest, Deena Tearney with Pacific Point. They're a Hawaiian-based Salesforce certified consulting company with offices in Singapore, Denver, Honolulu, and Sydney, worldwide. So we're very thankful to be joined by Deena today. Deena, how are everything going in the world of beautiful Hawaii today?
Well, thank you, Brock, for having me. It's always great to talk about tech. But yeah, Hawaii, I can't complain ever. I have no right to complain. It's pretty amazing out here. So yeah, it's perfect. 70s all the time.
Well, the great thing is I know that you come from my home state of Texas, where, of course, I'm a gigantic Dallas Cowboys fan, and I know that you're from Dallas. So what led you from going from the beautiful state of Texas to the beautiful state of Hawaii?
Well, good question. So I started my career in Dallas, and I was a software engineer, and I jumped in pretty early in my career to doing CRM, or customer relationship management implementations. And so I played a number of roles. I worked for many of the big 5 consulting firms, and found out about a job in Hawaii. And at the time I was traveling every week for work, Monday morning, Thursday night, coming home, this routine over and over. Rented out my house, was living like a gypsy, and decided, hey, this might be cool to live in Hawaii for a little bit. And in my mind, I thought it might be a couple-year thing, to work on my tan and, just get some chill time in. But it turned into a lot more. And I've since founded the company, and I'm here.
That's fantastic. So before I launch into learning about everything about Pacific Point, I like to ask everybody who's on the show, what's one piece of tech that you just simply can't live without? And I'll tell you that mine are my AirPods, because I probably wear them 80% of my lifetime, but everyone's got something different. So I always like to ask.
Well, I'm going to have like a cheese answer here for my business, and then I think for me personally, but I think for the business, I'm going to give a shameless plug here for Salesforce. We started using Salesforce not for sales management, but actually for our day-to-day operations with our consulting team, our projects, our time management. And I was thinking about this question, and thinking about technology, and I was like, I literally could not function with our business without this. It's gotten to be that impactful. As far as from a personal tech perspective, I don't know that there's anything I can't live without. It's certainly, everything at your fingertips with a phone is nice, but I do have a new gadget. It's my Aura Ring.
Oh,
and
that's
so it's
fancy.
Monitoring it's been so cool to really learn more about myself. Not just, all the professional things that you do to self-develop, but to look at aspects of your health and tracking it all. And you have all this data on your app. It's pretty cool. I'm going to say I've had it for a few months.
What all does that ring do? I've never heard of that yet.
So it's tracking your heart rate, your temperature. It's looking at your sleep patterns. They're coming out with a new thing looking at oxygen. I mean, it's really cool. And you start to see how different things that you do throughout the day, maybe a high stress meeting, your blood pressure's going up. You see how different things you're doing really impact your sleep and different aspects of your life. So this has been a cool gadget. Again, could I live without it? Yeah, but hey, it's pretty dang cool.
That's pretty awesome. I haven't even heard of that thing yet. That's awesome. No, I'm a big fan of finding anything new that just strikes. It's not necessarily an economic fear, but it's one of those things where you're like, oh, that might be something that's worth my time and worth my measure to put into.
I'm just saying it. You should look it up.
Cool. That's pretty neat. So I know that y'all have been in business for a while now. What is it, year 11 at this point?
Yes, we are hitting year 11 anniversary this summer. Really excited.
And I know you started here in Dallas and you did software engineering. Was that correct?
Yeah. So pretty quick. I mean, it was, I'm going to age myself here, but we did, I started in the era of the .com, right at the kind of tail end of that. So I did some web development stuff and then quickly moved into customer relationship management. So I would say the majority of my career really has been on CRM implementations. At that time, Salesforce was emerging, and now it is the leader when it comes to CRM. But yeah, I've been working on global CRM implementations since very early in my career, and it's cool to see that it came to be this. I never would have thought in those early days that we'd have what really is actually in Hawaii, we are the leading Salesforce consulting firm. But now we have our office in Denver. We have a growing team there. We actually have we have a team in Texas and Dallas. So I'm super stoked on that. Yeah, I know. And some people in California. We got people in different places, but Denver is certainly a growing hub for us, Texas as well.
So what really made you turn the idea of CRM into being a worldwide phenomenon? I know that CRM is not anything new in the world of business, but it seems like you found a stopgap specifically in Hawaii to begin with, where they just weren't being serviced the way that everyone else was being because there was a shortage. You found a gap and you fulfilled it, and now you've taken Pacific and you've really grown it across the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in Hawaii, we are certainly an underserved market. To get from Hawaii to the West Coast is 5-hour flight. And that's really the closest you are to anything. And so what would happen is in our market, being underserved, prices of consultants were higher, price of traveling consultants into a tourist destination is clearly high. So I started really the company to bring Salesforce, basically bring CRM type consulting and high value consulting to the state of Hawaii. It took some time. I think back then it was 10 years ago, 11, 10-ish years ago. Cloud adoption, especially at the enterprise level, was foreign.
Right.
And they wanted to see their data center and know where their stuff was.
Right.
But now, it's like, it's a different place. And we've certainly grown to have not only large public sector organizations and enterprise customers, all the way down to small businesses. And it's great to see the impact that we can make. Now, as far as the international bit, that really came to be pretty early in the company too, because of our geography, early thinking about growth, early thinking about where could we leverage what we have here and bring it to a new market. And, APAC, Asia Pacific, is certainly an emerging market in that space. There's a need for a lot of Salesforce consultants. And being in Hawaii, we're kind of like this crossroads. So
Right.
it became a really cool opportunity for our Denver and Texas teams, California teams, and where we're kind of at that center point to other places. And we're all within a few hours apart. So with Hawaii. So it's been pretty cool.
Well, and it shows because obviously this is the second year in a row that you got nominated for the INC 5000 member award. So you're obviously a very rapidly growing company. And if we're looking at that and we're talking through small, medium, enterprise sized businesses, who do you think is having the greatest impact by adopting Salesforce and getting the best tools to personalize their messages and things like that to their end consumers? Do you think it's more small business or is it more enterprise based on what you're seeing?
It's really all over. I think the use cases just vary. I think the scale of an enterprise, they're going to feel it, right, more if they really go wall to wall or they really take a big part of their business and decide to bring that, bring Salesforce forward and automate it on Salesforce. But I've seen small businesses see some huge wins too. I think the transparency, I think the automation, like kind of things that you don't imagine are going to happen. I actually had this small business once who we implemented this typical sales automation. We had contacts, accounts, opportunities, showed them how to do all that, brought in all their data. A few months in, I called the customer. I'm like, hey, how's it going? It's a very small business. I had probably like 4 or 5 people on their sales team. And he's like, oh my God, Deena, you're not going to believe this. We lost like 3 of our sales guys. It's down to me and this other person. And he's like, but our sales are way up. He's like, all of a sudden, we're just more efficient. We got rid of some dead weight that we didn't really realize was dead weight, and so it's these weird things sort of happen with transparency, with more automation, with more management. And so, because then you're able to make decisions better and you're able to do that. So it really depends on the use cases and also the people that work there. if they can really embrace it, the impact can be huge.
Well, I can tell you, at least firsthandly. So I've lived most of my professional career in the sales world. And I think what a lot of people miss in the CRM world is that that's a marketing tool as well. It's
Yes.
not just used for sales. And especially for the small to medium sized business owner, that marketing aspect it's huge. It's huge to them. And it's a thing that's just left on the wayside way too often. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And marketing automation has been really one of the biggest kind of things that came out of pandemic too. I mean, marketing cloud's been around, but we've had more and more Salesforce Marketing Cloud clients coming on board. And actually, at the enterprise level, you'd be surprised at how manual it is that they can't scale. They really struggle. They want to put out content. They want to do the A/B testing. They want to market. They want to do the advertising. They have so many things going on, but the efficiency and then the feedback loop to get back information to say, okay, I need to adjust what I'm doing here, and get more segmentation and targeting. I've seen the enterprise really step up in the pandemic because of the need to get in front of your customers
Right.
digitally.
And it's that much harder to do now too. That's the
Mhm.
other part, is that with the COVID pushing everyone working from home, true and solid marketing has become far and away just more important than it ever was before. And I think it's such a lost art that
Mhm.
we're kind of all relearning it again, honestly.
For sure.
Now, I will
Sure.
say, if I don't touch on Project 1%, I'm going to feel remiss about it, because I think
Okay.
it's one of the coolest projects that you're a part of. And everything that I've had a chance to touch on, you've been a part of that. And to me, that really rang as such a big deal that everyone who is contributing to modern society should really take a look at Project 1%,
Yeah.
because it's such a minimal effort, for such a huge gain that's going to come back on society. Would you mind being okay with just giving us a
Yeah.
little bit of idea of what Project 1% looks like?
Sure.
Or Pledge
Absolutely.
1%,
Pledge
excuse me.
1%. Yeah. So Pledge 1% is really a movement, ironically, that started a lot with Mark Benioff, who's the founder and CEO of Salesforce. But this concept that he implemented was this 1-1-1 model, where you're giving back 1% of product, of time, of money back into the communities in which you work. And that can be in any number of ways. So Pledge 1% came about asking and basically kind of making things more official with businesses and saying, hey, do you want to join the movement and pledge 1%? So Pacific Point joined Pledge 1%. And really for us, I'm a woman in tech, and when I worked in Dallas, many times I was one of very few women in my industry. And so what we've kind of, over the course of my career, I started developing this kind of personal cause towards, encouraging you to pursue careers in tech, specifically if I can target young girls and educate them on opportunities in tech. Like, I'm loving that.
Right.
And so we decided to do Pledge 1% and really focus our efforts on inspiring the next generation of technology leaders and consulting leaders and business leaders. So we do a number of things. We do workshops, we do mock interviews, we work with universities, we do stuff with all girls schools here in Hawaii, private schools sometimes, showing them how to use Salesforce. We'll do all kinds of things. And it's so cool. I feel like I get more out of it sometimes in this pledge concept. Yeah, because you just see their excitement to learn
Right.
about what it's like, so it's cool.
When you give them that real world access that they just couldn't normally have, elementary, middle school, even high school kids, they don't always have the access to what the real world really looks like. And I think that's the fun part of it. They get to see someone who is very successful and have found a niche in not only the technology world, just in the world in general, and being able to just give a little bit back of your time. That means the world to me. And it only gave me more and more respect for you, because it's something that you're a part of. I have 2 little girls myself, so having women empowered is a huge deal to me. So I'm very thankful that you're part of that. Um, Now, I know you were mentioning that Pacific Point is also hiring as well. Is there anything specific that you're looking for in anyone who might be able to send a resume in, or who might happen to listen to our interview today and reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things we're always recruiting for, and very active in both Denver and Texas market, is a very senior Salesforce architect to join our team. So if anybody's interested, please contact us. In addition to that, we're launching a new program specifically targeted towards college students that are graduating in the coming semester, or the active semester now. So it's a program that would begin in June, and we'll have students joining across the different states that we work in. And it'll be like kind of a nice little cohort. And I'm excited for that bonding that I'm anticipating will happen with students coming out of college and learning what it's like to be a consultant. And after 3 weeks of boot camp, rolling with it. So I'm excited for that.
That sounds fun. It sounds almost like a little boot camp that you're going to go put college kids through. Nothing wrong with that. Get some real world examples and some experience, and then hit the ground running realistically. That's great. Well, Deena, where can we find you if, let's say, someone wants to reach out and if they want to contact you? Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. What's the best way to get a hold of you if they are interested in A, that college program, or B, just finding a better way to source Salesforce, or a better way to use Salesforce that I think a lot of people own, but they don't necessarily get the most value out of? What's the best way to get in contact with you?
Well, I guess 2 things I'll mention. My social handle across all things is at Deena White. So on Instagram, on Twitter, all of the above, LinkedIn. So I'm easy to find with that social handle. And you can come to the website. It's pacificpointcorp.com. And there's a bunch of information. And, hopefully we'll have the information about that student program up there this week too.
It'll be down below as well. Don't worry about it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Well, hey, I want to tell you, I got to tell you, I've really appreciated you being on the show. You're so insightful and you're very inspiring. And I hope a lot of young ladies can figure their way to being the forefront of technology like you've done. I hope in that for my daughters, myself, go Cowboys still, Dallas native. Want to tell you that. And really just, you've been nothing but amazing. I want people to go check you out over at Pacific Point. And now that they're worldwide, if you have not figured out Salesforce.com yet, or you just feel like you're not getting the most out of it, these are the consultants to come talk to. They're the ones to go reach out to and just get the most benefit for every dollar that you're spending as of right now. And more than anything, I want to thank everyone who decided to join in with us today. We look forward to seeing you on another episode. I want to thank XR for sponsoring our podcast. It's always nice to have a sponsor. And if you love our content here, I want you to follow us on social media at ETIB Podcast or XR. I've been your host, Brock Briney. Thank you very much to our wonderful guests. Thank you so much, Deena. I really appreciate you being on today. And we're going to talk more emerging tech next time. Deena, anything else to say to our listeners before we go?
Aloha.
Aloha. I love it. I love it. All right. Thanks, everybody. Hope you're having a great day, and we will talk to you next time.